Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay. The #1 source for competitive Legends of Runeterra news and information. If you're looking for the best decks to play right now, be sure to check us out on Twitter at Master Runeterra or in our Discord. And if you want to take the next step in leveling up your game, check out our Runeterra team on Patreon, where we do weekly learning calls and one-on-one coaching. Now strap in and grab yourself some Poro snacks, because we are about to start Mastering Runeterra.
Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast. We've got a special episode for you guys today. So it's myself, Majiin, Aikado, Hobbitsizz, and some guy that snuck onto the podcast. Looks like his name is ItsThatAshGuy. I'm not really sure why he's here. But before we jump into everything, we just have to thank all of our subscribers and all of our patrons. A little bit of an update. We just updated the back end of the website so that we can now accept PayPal payments. So I know lots of people want to sign up with PayPal. So we can now do that. And it also allows us to do a lot more fun things in the back end. Also, I think you need to update your password if you were already a subscriber, because before there weren't passwords and now there are passwords. So go, log in, change your password. Update accomplished. Okay. So let's see. To start things off, let's do a little introductions here. Hobbitsizz was the winner of our Mastering Runeterra Open $1,000 event on Saturday. And ItsThatAshGuy is his teammate, apparently.
I'm a semi-finalist as well.
There you go, semi-finalist. And both of you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, played triple timelines?
Yeah.
Yep, that is right.
And everyone yelled at us.
Yeah, so I'm sure you guys are everyone's favorite. That's why we had to have you on. So why don't you give us a little bit of a little history? I know you both made top cut at the last Open. So what happened between kind of then and the Mastering Runeterra Open? You know, how did you guys end up on triple timelines? When did you figure out that's what you wanted to play? Did you know it was kind of busted going in? Give us the whole spiel.
All right, well, so, yeah, I didn't even know I was going to play the Mastering Runeterra tournament until literally the day of, because I didn't have a lineup for it. I didn't know really what, like, I had some idea of, like, what I want to do in a tournament, but, like, the list was like, I don't quite know. And then Ash was like, hey, I'm bringing triple timelines because they're good and it's going to be funny.
Yeah.
And you should also bring triple timelines because it's good and it's going to be funny. And so I looked through his lists. I made a couple adjustments just for, like, my play style. And I'm like, fuck it. Why not? Sure. We'll throw it. Maybe I'll win a couple games. You know, I'll probably get, like, knocked out early or something, whatever. And that didn't happen. So apparently timeline's good, but I didn't know how good it was before the tournament, gonna be honest.
I didn't really know it was going to be that good either. When we were going to do an Eternal season, I knew that I was going to do timelines. Because like a year ago when timelines was in standard, or when we didn't have standard, but when timelines was the meta, that was the first season I made masters. So I have like a sentimental thing for timelines, and I also just think it's really fun, like the micro decisions. I mean, like I know everyone's like, oh, if you draw it on one, then you just win, but like I like that I play a unit, I decide which equipment, and I decide what, like I'm constantly making decisions. It allows me to play and show like skill expression. And so I knew I was going to bring timelines, and then I'm like, well, I'll just use the Mastering Runeterra Open as testing, and I'll just bring triple timelines and see how that does. It'll be fun, and if I win, it'll be funny. And then we just both brought timelines, and it worked a lot better than I was expecting, I guess.
It was funny for probably about two people. I feel like I need to go back to the last podcast and make some apologies where I was like, timelines, yeah, it's wrong, but like, you nerf it eventually. This hotfix feels a lot better now that you guys were just like, yeah, let's just triple timeline seems like a thing to do this morning, and just fucking blew through the tournament.
It does make us look worse.
Yeah. Okay, so we got the timelines nerf. Have you guys played much timelines since then? And what are your thoughts on it now? Because, yeah, it's worse, but it's not like the deck is, like, nerfed into the ground worse, right?
Yeah, so I've played a few games with it. It still feels fine for the most part. Like, the Trundle version doesn't really care that much, because you're not really doing much else with that mana like that early in the game. The Bandle City one gets hurt a little bit because you can't Boom Baboon on 2 anymore. Like, Timelines 1 and Boom Baboon on 2 was just a combo. Can't really do that anymore, so it sets it back a little bit, but overall, the power level of the decks is pretty much the same. You're slightly slower. You have a little less reactivity with having that one less mana for like maybe a Mystic Shot or Get Excited or something that you need. But aside from that, it still does the thing. You still throw out really big units on 4 with Combat Cook or 5 with Risu. Yeah,
the biggest thing we were worried about was the impact that we may have had on the meta, because in the Mastering Runeterra Open, it was like us and maybe 2 other people, and maybe just 1. And then when we did the ABG tournament on Sunday, it was literally like a dozen people bringing triple timelines. And so it was like overnight that everybody was playing timelines now. And so now we're like, man, it's going to be a bunch of mirrors or a bunch of people running like triple aggro to counter. So we weren't sure what we were going to do for this upcoming Saturday. But now it's been hotfixed, and I kind of think that helped us, or at least me, because I'm bringing triple timelines again. Because now I think less people are bringing it, and I might ruin that by talking about it right here.
Well, luckily not that many people watch this podcast, so you're still fine.
The good players do.
So I think you're right though. People definitely hate playing Nerf cards or decks. Like that's
I think it was a psychological Nerf. Like people just stop, but it works still.
And so I think not only will people bring it less, but like you say, people will definitely be targeting it less. Like if Triple Timelines had also won the ABG tournament on Sunday, I think a lot of people would have come gunning for it, or like definitely a lot less people would have just been soft into it for sure. Whereas now, I bet people have basically written it off. I think a lot of people have like more or less thought that, you know, at least the non-champion version probably, or the ones that aren't failure are probably kind of gone. Like maybe they'll see 1, maybe 2 or something, but like that they won't be around as much. And they might be right, like we're talking about. I think a lot less people will be bringing it. So you guys are still on triple timelines for the Open?
I am. I don't know.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Hobbitsizz,
I'm switching it up. Yeah. I'm moving into. So I really like this Seraphine Samira deck. Sure, some people on this call also really like the deck. Man, that's just good.
It's so good. I keep telling people. I feel like nobody
listens.
Good. The deck's insane.
Yeah. So that's for sure something that I'm bringing. I don't know quite what else. Maybe Nasus Thresh, because like the deck's also pretty good. Or maybe an Akshan Nasus. Haven't figured out which version, but definitely Seraphine Samira.
Yeah, we were training from Tuesday to today. Like I was trying out a bunch of different decks, you know, all the different Seraphines and Nasus Thresh and whatnot, and I was just like, yeah, they're all right, but like I just want to play timelines. Like I just love the deck. And then I'm like, I'm just gonna try it. Like let me run it back. I'm gonna do triple timelines against like your Annie Cat and whatever. And it still performed, and I'm like, I'm gonna go do some rumbles real quick. I did like 3 rumbles and 4-0'd them, and I'm like, all right, timelines is still good. I'm still bringing triple timelines. It's not gonna stop me. I just love the deck.
I mean, it's like you say. I think it's still good. Also, I was playing the championless version, and I loaded up the game, forgot that I think I was playing Magic at the same time, and then I forgot that I was playing Runeterra. Came back, finished my Magic game, came back on like turn 4. I hadn't done a thing, cast timelines, and then won the game. Yeah. And I didn't do a single thing until turn 4.
Bro, you're out here roping poor players. What the hell?
Hard, roping them hard. Yeah, if anyone plays against me, like I'm a notorious slow player, but if anyone plays against me and you think I'm deep in the tank, I'm just doing work or like fucking around somewhere else. I'm just not playing the game. That's what's happening. Okay, so Hobbitsizz, you're not even on 1 timelines deck, just 0.
Maybe the Bandle City one. It is probably the best timelines deck. Just it has better matchup tables. Maybe that's my 3rd deck, but unsure right now.
Okay,
I think that the timelines nerf, like, a lot of people are gonna hop off of it just because it is a nerf. But like at the end of the day, like the 1 mana doesn't matter that much. I don't think that like Boom Baboon on 2 like realistically was turning into something that was significantly better. It just slows down the decks a little bit. I think that it just takes stuff like Jack's Vi. I think that deck was dog shit to begin with, and it just brings it down a little bit. And now people will be on like 2 timelines decks or 1 timelines deck, it'll probably still be fine.
I've always thought that like the 2 timelines decks was better. I think people like get themes stuck in their head. They're like, oh, we have to like do the whole thing. Like this happens with a couple. I'm trying to think of other examples, but like this happens a lot where they're like, oh, you know, bar.
It's
Yeah,
like
you could
triple aggro or
triple bar, triple aggro, or like
triple aggro is a good
triple
one.
bandle tree. It's like you don't have to do that. You can just play the two good ones, and then you can play something else with a similar matchup table that's like a way better deck. Not saying that's what was the case with the timelines decks, but I mean, I found in my experience is I played against
on purpose.
I played against like 2 or 3, I think, like timelines lineups. And I would always go, okay, which one's the best one against me? Well, it's the Vandal one. I'm going to ban that. And then I just have to beat like one pretty good deck. To be fair, the Freljord one is quite good, the Trundle one. But my decks tend to be pretty good into that. And then one bad deck. And it was like not the biggest problem. The deck could still like roll you, but I feel like people get a little too stuck in their head about they have to do the 3X lineup. Like it doesn't have to match in theme. You just want it to match in like matchup tables and stuff for your banning strategies.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Same with like triple control. People are like, oh, I have to play 3 control decks. But like a lot of the times you could go like control,
Zirelli
like,
or whatever.
Samira or some like,
whatever
some
fits
deck
in
that
there.
just matches. Timelines, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's also like their motivation to play. Like for me, I considered bringing 2. I mean, for me, it was triple timelines. And then I was thinking about maybe I should do 2 timelines. But then it doesn't feel as cool, which I know is like a poor way to play competitively, but like that's the fun part. Like it's a game, you know. I like the style. Like I thought it's more fun. I mean, I agree. Jaxvi is probably the worst of the 3. Hey,
cat sighting.
Thinking about get out of here.
I'll leave it.
It's fine,
All right, I'm thinking about this is best bet. I'm thinking about cutting it for another timelines deck that people aren't playing to homebrew, that is Bilgewater. Because there's actually some really good hits in Bilgewater, like the Mystifying Magician is crazy. You can even do some cool stuff with...
What does that do for anyone? I know what that does, but for people at home that don't know.
It's a 4-mana 2/2 that transforms an ally to a 5 cost. And then you obviously change that to a 4 cost because of timelines, so you can get like a 7/7 or 6/6, and then whatever random 5 costs. And 5 drops are great. Like the 5 drop pool is really good. Obviously you get screwed because you can end up getting like Fan Club President. That would suck, but it's really low, like chance wise. But you also got the Ruined Rex, which even if you only get 1 or 2 triggers, it's just a 2 damage ping on something, and then you turn it into an actual good card. Like Bilgewater's actually got some good hits when it comes to low cost units to become good, like just like something like Mirai Warden, you know. I don't know if I'll bring it because I think it is probably worse, but it will have the surprise factor, I guess, because people know the 3 timeline decks, and now, hey, Bilgewater, like, what are you gonna throw at you here?
Yeah, that's one thing. Do we know if it's? I assume it's still closed deck list. Have they?
I think day one's closed.
Yeah, because like for the Worlds one, they said like we're gonna get it open, and they didn't get it, and so I wasn't sure if maybe they had it for this one, which I'm like, I don't know, not that concerned about really. Okay, so let's go into the meta. What people think is actually good. What people want to be bringing.
Okay,
which we already touched on. But
I was going to say about this.
Okay.
So I know Aikado's having the same problem as me, and that is everything wins in Eternal.
Different problem.
Yes. Yeah, you just win with everything in Eternal. I don't know what's actually good because you could win with anything. And then like sometimes you queue up the deck that you think is actually good and you run into like the one super niche thing that just like stomps you and you're like
a Zirelli.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just stuff like that. I've been actually really struggling. The only deck I know for sure that is going to be in my lineup is Seraphine, Samira, Plaza Guardian.
That deck, I have an issue where I love Seraphine, and I'm in love with like Seraphine Ezreal Bandle, and I love the Seraphine Targon Bar. Like, oh my god, I love these decks. So I'm usually pretty, I don't picking up a new Samira deck or Seraphine deck. I'm like, there's so many good Seraphine decks. Why would I play this one? And then I started playing this Seraphine Samira, and oh my god, you just combo on like 6 like every game.
Yeah, people are like, why don't you play Bar? I'm like, because they're dead. Like, I already killed them.
Yeah. So, like, okay, when we're talking about this deck, though, because I think this is going to be, like, a pretty popular deck. One, what do you think its bad matchups are? And two, what do you do when you just, like, run out of steam? That's something I've noticed is, like, sometimes you only have, like, 2 Plaza Guardians, and then, your opponent has blockers, and it's like, oh, well, shit, I guess I do nothing for a few turns. What are your strats with that?
So, one, I haven't found a bad matchup. I'm sure they exist, but like again,
let's do this then. What are the hardest matchups?
The mirror.
Which one are you winning against the least?
The mirror.
Yeah, for fuck's sake.
No, like that.
That's fair.
Like really,
I
like
can't work
actually,
like
this is the only. It's the only thing that I match up into and go, God damn it, is the mirror. It's literally the only thing.
What's the next one?
I don't even know.
I don't even know.
It's that often the deck is kind of just fighting with itself because it has so many like 1-ofs or 2-ofs that it can sometimes just like whiff.
Yeah,
and
sometimes you're like, I didn't
feel
find
like
weird.
A lot of times
weird
the
numbers
deck loses because of itself. Yeah, it's so you can level Seraphine.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
It's very strong, and like you have to be pretty high on like cheap spells that you can cast proactively because you need to get your Plaza Guardians down. You want them to be like 3 cost by like 6 and 0 cost by like 7 every single time. Yeah, but honestly, like people keep asking me, they're like, "Well, what are its bad matchups?" Like, I deadass don't know, dude. Like,
okay, let's do this. Let's say that you're playing against a lineup that's like I don't know, three of the most popular decks, or 3 of like what you consider the top decks. Not the mirror.
Not the mirror. Okay.
What are you banning? You have to ban something
to protect Samira Seraphine. It won't even be in my. I won't even think about it. I will think about whatever.
Eat the ban,
or I'll win with it. Like it's the same thing with
just
like
doesn't factor in
Fizz Samira. I just don't care about that deck. Like I'm going to beat you with that deck, or you're going to ban.
All right, that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know. Like, the deck can get rushed down. Like, if you're playing Nasus Thresh and they have, like, a crazy opener and they have, like, a full board on turn 3, like, yeah, you're going to die to that. But, you know, what are you going to do? Or, like, Poppy Lulu can sometimes just, like, overrun you.
I'd probably ban Poppy Lulu.
I think, like, good mid-range.
Don't draw your stuns or anything like that. And, yeah, good mid-range. Things that just can, like, rally on you, scout, something like that. If you just don't draw your right removal tools, because, again, you have them a lot as, like, 1-ofs, maybe some 2-ofs running, like, the stun card. Then yeah, you can get run over. But I mean, I don't think it's like, oh, this deck just beats me. I think it's like, this deck will beat me if it draws well and I draw mediocre.
Yeah, can we talk about Poppy Lulu real quick? Because that deck seems like an absolute beating.
Vandal City or Ionia version?
I think the Bandle one's the popular one right now. I have literally not seen Poppy Lulu since Eternal started. Not a single person's played it.
Oh, really? I got beat up by it a couple times when I was playing Seraphine Bar.
It was in my lineup before I decided to go triple timelines again. But
that was your problem. You were playing Bar.
What? No, not Bar.
Oh, Jason.
No, he's talking to me. I was playing Targon.
It's good. Like I mean, when we were training, yeah, it did rush down like Samira. I do think it's pretty good, but I can't pass up my opportunity to just do it again.
It's Poppy Lulu's pretty good into like the Annie-Cat deck, which I know has gotten some popularity too, because just Ranger's Resolve is crazy.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, a 1 mana, you can't kill any of my stuff. What are you going to do?
I played against Stargrounds with Annie-Kate yesterday, and I was like, huh. Just
yeah. When I got the list, I was like, man, you're running 3 Form Up, 2 Sharp Sight, and 2 Ranger Resolve. Why do you have so much defense? And then like I started playing, I'm like, no, this is a perfect amount of defense. Like it. I wouldn't drop any. Well, maybe I'd do another Ranger Resolve and drop something, but I was questioning how many spells.
So it's good into some of the top decks, but no one's considering bringing it.
Does it beat Nasus?
It kind of
seems really rough.
It kind of doesn't beat Nasus.
Depends.
Like if the Nasus deck has a bad opening hand, then yes, it can beat it. Otherwise, as soon as like Nasus comes down, you're just like, oh, I can't do anything about Atrocity. Cool.
Yeah.
The issue with Nasus is that like you can't really match it on board because like it gets on board so quickly. Like if you don't have answers for like their early game and Thresh and Nasus himself, like you just kind of die. Like you need. I think like the best way to beat Thresh Nasus is to like be going over the top of it and like actually having answers to Atrocity.
Yeah.
Or like Nasus himself. Like I don't think you could just like run a mid-range deck into it because like the thing is Nasus comes down even if they only have a few slays, he comes down as like a fucking 8/8. And it's like, okay, what do you do now? Like, how do you play the game into this? And you just can't.
Nasus is the reason why the Bandle City version of Timelines, or at least my version now, has puzzling signposts. Like, even though they'll probably write them negated anyway, it's like you need to at least have that thread.
Or whatever.
No. Well, if they have write a negation to stop the puzzling signpost. But I'm playing puzzling signpost to get rid of atrocity, because it's... Yeah, otherwise you've got nothing. Pretty much exactly what he said. He's huge. You can't... I mean, you could go around him, but even if you're going around him, it's like, oh, fast speed atrocity. Like, fast speed atrocity. You know, you're dead.
Yeah, so maybe to bring that deck in ban Nasus lineup, the Lulu deck. Okay, let's take a step back. What are you guys thinking about bringing alongside Seraphine? Samira Seraphine.
A lot of things have been in the rotation. The problem is everything feels a step worse. And I just I don't know. Like, I would love to bring like a Targon PnZ deck, but it feels like I'm playing Targon Jund is what I keep telling people.
Yeah,
or like
it feels like it's playing too fair.
It's so fair. Yeah, it's so fair. Which in like an Eternal-esque format, you really don't want to be fair.
No.
And so, yeah, Targon, it's like, it's fine and it's winning. But again, we come back to the other problem. Like, is it winning because I'm playing against people who are playing like maybe not as good decks with maybe not as much experience? Or is it winning because it's actually good? And then I've tried like, you know, the Katarina, the different flavors of like Shelly Condense are high up on my list as well. Rise, I'm still considering, right? There's just a lot of things that honestly, I'm just not sure where I'm going to go yet.
Yeah, I genuinely wish that I could run 3 Seraphine decks, because I tell you, I could build 3 Seraphine decks that would be really good.
Absolutely.
I'd be down.
But like, you know, I've had people tell me that like, oh, Karma set, kind of really good, and then I played it like in the gauntlet against like people who aren't running like real decks. I'm like, I can't win any of these games.
Shadow Elves
Karma
or
set
PnZ?
SI sucks ass. SI.
Yeah, there's no PnZ Eternal. We talked about this.
Everyone keeps saying there's no PnZ. I looked at, like, the stats are bad, but like, I guess this is the same problem. I just keep beating people with it, so I think it's good.
Run it. Yeah.
I think it feels bad to take like a deck from standard and take it like card for card and throw it in Eternal and be like, this is good enough. Like, it feels bad. Yeah, like, but that said, like,
but you
a
add
lot
some
of the
bad
games...
cards like Eye of the Dragon. So like, yeah.
Don't play it.
No, don't run Eye of the Dragon. That card's dog shit.
No, but people think it's good though, so they kill it.
That's true. Nick plays insta concedes to you when you play.
Yeah, if you're against Nick, then you're fine.
Yeah, it's so hard to actually find like other lineups. And I was playing like, you know, Kindred Viego, and I have like this 90% win rate with it, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this deck is bad. And Katarina, I can't decide on like what's actually good right now. You know,
it's also
what else. Sorry, you go.
It's also rough because I feel like matchup spreads are pretty wide. So you have 3 games where you just like absolutely curb stomp people and you're like, this deck's the shit. And then you run into one thing that does their thing and you get stomped. And you're like, huh, maybe not. And it just feels like a rinse and repeat of that for me.
I was really high on Sion at the beginning of the season. And then I picked up Sion again like a couple days ago. And I played it on ladder and I queued like 4 bad matchups in a row. And I'm like, just kidding, I'm never playing Sion again. This is the worst experience of my life.
What else? I want to say real quick. What else top cutted at the Mastering Runeterra tournament that was not timelines?
Felios Victor,
and I mean, B brought triple like burn decks.
Triple burn.
Right.
Fucking B always
brought a really good lineup. That was like Cat Yasuo. I gotta pull it up. It was
Cat Yasuo, Rise, and I forget
Felios Victor.
Felios Victor. Yeah.
Generally, timelines like beats control, but that control, like especially the Cat Yasuo one, like really was rough.
Let's talk about that for a second. Aikado, Bay, have you guys played that deck this season? Because I know it's like it was a joke for forever. Yeah, Cat Yas, but then it like actually got enough cards and tools and buffs that like it became a legit deck at one point in standard.
I think it does a strong thing, right? Like Windswept Hillock plus like, you know, the champions is really hard to deal with. But you know, you do have to set up, and if you can set up, then it's like it's a really strong deck. I haven't played it this season, but I've seen a fair bit of it. And Pat, who top 8'd MR and then won the ABG thing with it, swears by it. And yeah, it's definitely a consideration. You know, I don't know if it's a deck that. It's not like a hard deck. I could pick it up, but I don't know if it's like something that's like so compelling that I really want to pick it up. But you know, it seems fun.
I never win with that deck, dude. I never have. I know by now to stay away from it. Maybe I'll try it like on tomorrow or tonight or something, but I've never won with Cat Yasuo.
Yeah. Fast forward to next week's podcast where Majiin was like, so I tried Cat Yasuo, I won on ladder, I brought to the Open. Yeah. I didn't win.
I didn't win. I lost all of my games.
I should have known.
Dude, Targon PnZ is such a enigma at the moment. You know, there's like 4 different builds of Aphelios Victor. There's builds with, you know, Zoe. There's builds with Seraphine. I think the Seraphine one's good. It's just, you know, the 3rd best Seraphine deck. Mm-hmm. But like building a good Targon PnZ deck, I feel like there has to be
it's
one.
There. It's got to
be
the
triple all-in, like, yeah, the all-in Glorious Evolution doesn't feel that good. But I feel like Aphelios and Victor are just like such strong champions, and you get to run like the heal unicorn, you get to run burn and removal and top end, and why isn't this something that we've like figured out by now? Like, what's the list?
I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, it has a lot. It has a lot to it. I've tried like a lot of combinations of Aphelios and Victor too. I'm like, all right, Winding Light top end. Okay, maybe we'll go for, you know, Invoke cards for the top end. Okay, we'll go try the Glorious Evolution style. All of it feels just okay. Like, I feel like it should be better than it is, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's very like jack of all trades. I feel like master of none. Like, I mean, there's so many different builds, so like, you know, I could be talking one that's different than from what that you're thinking of, but like, you know, when you're running 1 or 2 Sunburst, like, I don't. If I were to build or bring it, I'd go a little bit heavier on 3 ofs. I feel like a lot of them just like are kind of 1 ofs and 2 ofs, which even when you're not bringing Seraphine, it's like weird. It's like, why are you only running 2 Sunbursts? That card's insane. Like, run 3. Like, why are you running 1 of the unicorn that is also insane? Just run 3. Like, I don't. It feels weird, and I cannot do Targon PnZ piles because of how weird it is.
I just really don't like Aphelios at all right now. He just doesn't seem powerful enough. Like, there's like sometimes he's like, yeah, I'm doing my thing, weapon, and then they're like, they do their thing, and I'm like, weapon. Like, not quite good enough. Like, I have weapons and like a bunch of shitters, and they've got like, I don't know, so like a 9/9 elusive spell shield or some shit, or like a million 6/6s or whatever.
Do like having a good Nasus matchup though. That feels kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie. They play their second Nasus, and you're just like Sunburst.
I don't respect that deck nearly enough.
I think if you're doing like I feel like a lot of people are gonna bring control just because like. There's a lot of good control decks, whether you're playing Karmaset or you know, any of the PnZ Targon piles or Nasus Thresh. Yeah, there's so many that like I feel like if you want to do the 3 best of them, I think Nasus Thresh, something Seraphine, probably Samira. I think it depends on more of your style. Like I would not do Samira Seraphine. I would do Bandle City Seraphine, and then I will die on Cat Annie. Like, I think Condense is nuts. Like, it's pretty much maybe like a better Glimpse Beyond. Like, you just, you remove my thing. I mean, normally when you play Glimpse Beyond, it's so you can draw and hopefully get your champion back. But now it's like, you kill my thing. Here, I just get it back. I do it again. Like, it's a great card. And I think it's ridiculous if you're not bringing it. It removes huge things, including Nasus. It destroys like anything that's trying to do mid-range, destroys small aggro. I really like Cat Annie. I don't see enough people playing it, I guess.
I also love Cat Annie.
It's
one of the decks that I play queue into a matchup that's just like unwinnable, and I feel so bad.
What matchup? Like what?
Well, recently it was Scarred Rounds, and I was like, this fucking sucks.
Or Poppy Lulu.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just like, man, this is not great. So I'm like, I really like Cat Annie. It's like my favorite flavor. It's like the all spells, no units. I know, surprise. But I might be more interested in leaning into like junk constructs, maybe even Nora, but still playing like the Tibble condensed strategy. Maybe just like tune it down a little bit.
Yeah, that's what Hobbits was trying. I think you slotted in like 1 Nora or 2 Nora and 1 Cat or something like that.
I went for a 2-2-2 split because like the 3 of Cat, 3 of Annie just feels really awkward at certain points in the game, and Nora adds consistency. Also, I find myself just not having a board like ever, and then someone's like, fearsome unit, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. I don't have disintegrate in my hand, so it kills me.
Yeah, Nora's good.
That happens, yeah.
I like if you're running the championless Vandal City PZ timelines, throw Nora in there. Like Nora's just so good. Like you're already cheating. Why not just cheat a little bit more? There's no reason not to play Nora. You're in you're Vandal City.
Okay, what do you guys think of this? So I was of the opinion that Timelines was kind of holding aggro down a bit. And now that Timelines is kind of gone, do you think aggro comes back a bit?
I thought aggro was good into Timelines. Like, aggro was what I was afraid of.
The burn was, right? Like, wasn't the burn piles, like, Bee's piles were good in Timelines, but, like, the traditional aggro, like, Annie Jin or whatever. Or,
no, I opposite.
Poppy.
Like, Annie Jin, the things with Annie Jin is that if you've got Crackshot Corsair or the Boom Crew or Annie or whatever, all those, like, even if I block your unit, it still goes straight to my face. And I'm a board-based deck. I can't... And you've got burn on top of it. Like Draven Scion, I can block your fearsome units. I can block this and that. Sometimes they nut, sometimes they play Zonite Urchin into the Flame Chomper, into this, into that. And sometimes they just nut off because that's just what aggro does. But the board-based aggro, like Poppy Ziggs as well in a way. Because Poppy Ziggs has impact and like Ziggs' spell. But like, Timelines is a little bit better into it. It's still worse. I still think it's unfavored, but like I would rather do that than Annie Jin.
So you're saying, Timelines is good against those decks?
No, I think Timeline sucks. Or not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good against board-based aggro, like you were saying. Like burn, you can't do anything about burn, right? Like the Trundle version has healing into it. So
but you just ban that.
In my match against B, I think I healed like 8 points or something with the Trundle version, which is like cool, but I also kept all my healing cards intentionally.
Yeah.
Most of the time it doesn't get that. And yeah, if you take like 10 damage before you can really set up, and especially Jin Annie, which has like stuns and stuff like that to stop your blockers, like if you just take 10 damage and then a burn deck's like, all right, cool, you're dead.
Yeah,
The other thing that's like about the Trundle deck is like it's cool that it has healing, but the issue is at the end of the day, you're only playing one card per turn. You're playing 1 4-drop and 1 5-drop, and you're hoping you live. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that a lot of these aggro decks, especially in Eternal, like are going to blow your ass off the map.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So I think that like aggro's, aggro's in a weird spot where I'm pretty sure Poppy Ziggs just is not a good deck. But everybody who talks about it is like, this shit's really broken. I can't believe Riot reverted Poppy, and I'm like, I've never lost this deck like at all this entire patch. Maybe it's like secretly broken, but like aggro itself, I think that there's like aggro decks that can be good. But I don't know. B brought like the triple burn nonsense. I'm pretty sure those decks are also not good, but he did well with them, so I don't fucking know.
There's also just like everybody's playing control, and I assume you as well. You will kind of counter. It obviously it's weird, but like
so this is one of the issues that we run into, right? Because when we're talking about the Mastering Runeterra tournament, there was like 80-something people. Most of them are high-level competitive players. They slant much harder towards like control decks, much more so away from aggro decks. Everyone kind of knows that. It's almost like a day 2 meta or like a winner's meta. And so something like B's lineup or the one with Yasuo, like those are all like almost like not counter lineups, but like kind of, right? They're like more in that vein. They're definitely probably like, aggro isn't real lineups. Like if you're bringing Rise, you're like, aggro's not going to show up. I'm going to go farm people. So that that might be more of an issue on day one. But if you're going to say aggro just isn't real or isn't good or like I don't care about it, isn't Rise just where you want to be?
Maybe.
Rise is pretty good if aggro's not real.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
He's pretty strong.
He feels pretty good with getting 3 mana back from that stupid ass landmark. It's pretty good.
I am definitely considering bringing Rise. There's there's 2 things that I would really like to not be soft into, or I would like to be strong into. Maybe like a soft targeting situation, and it doesn't have to be both, one or the other. And I think a lot of people should have these 2 decks like kind of in the forefront of their mind for this open, and that's Nasus and the Broadmain Vandal decks. I think both of them are going to be very popular. I know like the higher level players love the Broadmain deck. Me too. I also enjoy it. And so I think making sure you have a plan into one or both of those, even if the plan is just like ban it, is probably pretty smart. So anytime I'm like, mentally constructing a lineup, I'm thinking, how does it do? Like, what does it do into Thresh Nasus? What does it do into Broadmain?
Yeah, I think that Thresh Nasus and, like you said, and the Bandle Conservatory are very likely to be like the most popular decks. I think they're both.
Do they go
strong.
together into a lineup?
Will people put them together? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
Do you think they shouldn't?
I'd have to look at matchup tables more closely.
It's probably fine. Let's see. You both need to ban Rise. Yeah. If that's even a deck that people bring.
I don't think
Does
so.
Thresh Nasus lose to Rise?
Oh, maybe not now that it's super, super aggressive, huh? Yeah.
The aggressive version doesn't. If you're going for a more control slanted one,
Yeah.
then you definitely do.
There's this weird card called Blighted Caretaker that says take 10.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that stuff's pretty good. I had not run into the matchup because I haven't really played much of either. I just assumed that my heuristic of Nasus loses to Rise, it just like immediately defaulted to that. But yeah, with like Blighted Caretaker, the Cursed Keeper buff.
One drop.
Yeah, 4/3 A-bomb.
Yeah, the one drop's fine. Like anything that doesn't die immediately to the deal 2 damage landmark is a problem. And now it has 4 power. And like they're on the full set of last wins, and like those are the things that make it so you can struggle.
Yeah, so you were saying, back to the base point though, that you're going to kind of pin. People should start their preparing around Nasus or the Bandle. Was it Bandle Noxus?
Bandle,
yeah,
Noxus,
the Bandle,
the broad main control decks. Yes.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think you're right. Those will probably be 2 of the most popular decks, probably just bar none. And so, starting somewhere, like we were saying at the beginning of the podcast, that it's hard to begin when you're kind of winning with everything and the format's really wide open. That seems like a good place to start, to like have a plan against there, and then we'll kind of like grow it out. What do you guys think of this? What is it, Zoe?
Oh,
what if we just didn't bring it up? What if we just didn't bring it up
It's
at
talking
all?
about Zoe Fizz.
Zoe Fizz, yeah,
Leave
the
it to
elusive
Drisoth,
stack,
man.
which I think can it also play Condensed Shelly? I don't know if his pile was
Bilgewater Targon.
Yeah.
I literally did not know about this deck. I played a match before getting on this, and I faced that deck. I'm like, what the hell is this? It just what do you mean you're playing a 9/10 Sparkle Fly? Like, what? Get this out of here! And I lost. So I have a 0% win rate against it. I'm terrified.
Yeah, the deck had to be nerfed back in the day, right?
I think it was Teemo before. You're talking about when it ran the Surge. That was when it was Bandle City. But it's doing Bilgewater now.
That was insane.
It ate a hotfix nerf. But I mean, like, things that have buffed it is this weird card called Blessing of Targon, which says Grant on it for some reason, is now 4 mana.
And you play 6 of
So they
them.
just do... Yeah.
Yeah. No, this deck, I would have preferred if Drizoth just didn't post it. I'm going to be honest. I would have lived
keep
a
it to
happier
yourself
life.
and just win on Saturday. Don't make all of us
That's
suffer.
literally my only like trepidation with this deck is like it seems really strong, but I'm like, okay, but Drizoth leaked it. Drizoth's a part of a testing group. He cares about winning. If it was actually good, he wouldn't have leaked it, right? But then on the other hand, clout.
Yeah, he would.
Twitter clout is worth a lot.
It's just,
I mean, it is kind of scary, but it also just like loses to Rise and Annie Cat, right? Like you just, you have a 10/10 Sparklefly, cool. Now it's dead. Oh, look at that, it's stunned. It can't do anything.
I don't think it loses to Rise because there's this weird. So like I don't know if you've seen like the Purifying Flames line where like they Purifying Flames on 3 and then they play like a 4/4 Zoe and a 3/3 Acorn, and it's like it's cool that you
3/3 what?
Yeah, it's cool that you can deal with like tall things, but they can go wide with their buffs and spread them out.
An Acorn,
and you can't block any of that.
Fun.
I'm just gonna roll into an elusive with timelines. I'm not worried about it.
There you go.
Good players get lucky. It's as simple as that.
Majiin, have you played this deck yet? I mean, this season?
No, I just saw it. It was like this morning or something. He posted it, or last night or something. So will I be playing it? Will I bring it? Probably not. Unless I play it and I'm like, holy shit, this is disgustingly good. Then like, it's not really my style. But I will try it. I'll try it out today.
I think it's this thing where, like, you know, if you remember the last time that Zoe, Teemo, elusives or whatever was broken, like, it was severely underplayed just because I think a lot of people just don't like to play this style of deck.
It's kind of boring.
And yeah, I'm hoping that that's, you know, continues to be the case. This deck, I mean, is really fucking
Purifying
annoying.
Flames is a lot of numbers. It's a lot of numbers.
It was bad for a long time. This is like the
win.
first time it's actually seen play.
Yeah. Throw me
like,
here.
When it was revealed, we were thinking it's crazy, but, you know, 4 mana do nothing. But then now it does something. Well, you know, I'm surprised it's taking this long for it to see play.
Like Aikado was saying, I think it fits into the meta better now. Yeah. Because you just need your stuff to have 3 toughness. Whereas before it was just you're trying to buff up your stuff and there was better things you could be doing.
I mean, what is that deck running that's not in standard?
Zoe?
We still is
Zoe.
Oh,
Zoe.
yeah. Okay, that's fair.
But like, you could probably get away without Zoe. Like, Zoe's just a really good elusive.
It's another
stuff,
elusive,
like,
yeah.
You could run
like if Zoe
flight
like,
or something.
If there's just some other elusive, yeah, I'm pretty sure
you would not play the flight.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's just going to lose its stats.
Because you want it to hold.
Well,
stats,
yeah, you just wouldn't put stats
like, you don't
on
wanna. So it loses Sparklefly.
Sparklefly's a big one, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it loses Zap. It actually loses like half of its units.
I only see like a couple. The ones playing Zap I see are all the lower win rate versions.
So that's the original list that Drisoth posted.
Oh, okay.
Is 2 Zap.
The one I'm seeing that has like the best ones are completely off Zap. No Zap, no Celestial Trifecta. I don't think you're supposed to play Celestial Trifecta. I think if you're leaning on Celestial Trifecta, you've probably lost the game. Yeah, it's going to win you sometimes. But, like, I don't know. I feel like that might be... But I do
feel like you just go all in. You just commit to the elusive. You're already going for it. Just make your stuff bigger.
Yeah.
Hit 'em
Especially
harder.
since, like, you're already running, like, triple Targon Telstones. So, like, you know, at the end of the day, if you need an Invoke, you have an Invoke.
That's true. That's true.
I'm curious why they're not running Bandle City. Like, all you're really doing in Bilgewater is Mirai Songstress and Barnacles. Are those, like, really integral?
What do you get out of...
Because you still get Fizz, right?
What do you get out of Bandle?
If you go to Bandle?
I don't know, like the Bandle Commando or like...
That's true. You get Beast Mama.
There's other
I think
options.
Fizz, if you're thinking that, like, Cat Annie is going to be really, really good, Fizz is insane. Right? You're just purifying flames that bad boy and he never dies.
The really cool thing about Fizz is these multi-region, so you can actually run them in Bandle.
Oh my god, that's
if you
true.
go to Bandle,
That's what I'm
you
saying.
then you can do Condensed Shelly, right?
No, because then you need Bilgewater.
No, Shelly's in
Yeah.
Dude, Shelly's in Bilge.
Yeah.
Also, these decks
You could
aren't running
condense
Shelly.
Sparklefly.
Isn't it Bandle Bilge then? Don't you? Isn't it...
So you need Targon.
The whole
Targon's
deck,
yeah.
Targon's like...
Oh, you have to have Targon.
It's
okay.
the top deck right now is 8 Bilgewater cards, 3 of which are Fizz, and 32 Targon cards. Like, it's a Targon deck.
I should have actually looked up the list while we were having this conversation. I guess.
Like, if you want to run Bandle, you can run Bandle and go with, like, Pokesticks. You go, like, Pokesticks and, like, 1 signpost or something, right?
Yeah.
And that's, like, probably pretty reasonable.
With Beast Mama.
I guess you're losing out on Barnacles, but I've only played it once, so they didn't even play Barnacles, so I don't know how
You could run the
integral it is.
weapon card, too, if you're running in Bandle, if you really want, like, a weapon on your thing.
Which weapon?
To throw, like, auto scout on your elusive.
Oh,
Oh,
So the weapon
Wandering
smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. But actually, anybody listening, I think this deck's really bad.
It's dog
Nobody
shit.
Do not
Bring
play
it.
this deck, it's
Try it.
aggro.
I'm going to leave a
Waste
link
your
to the
time.
deck specifically in the description for anyone that.
Leave a link to the bad version.
Yeah,
of the deck.
leave a link to, like...
Well, it's the bad
Yeah, I
version,
think-
but it's also the one that has 333 matches with a 62% win rate. So it's like,
That's not even that good for the Eternal meta right now.
that's about the high end. It's like 60
I
plus.
just mean that
like-
everything's winning right now.
I think something to keep in mind is that stats are bullshit in Eternal. Stats mean nothing. Literally nothing. Like, I saw people who are like, Poppy Ziggs had a 67% win rate on day 2. It's like, no, no. These stats are made up. This does not matter. I promise you.
That was
These
me, by
decks
the way.
are
That
not
was
as
just
good
that
as
was just
they
me.
Yeah,
Do
it
you
was
know-
literally only Florent.
Do you know of any, like, do you have any spice? Is anybody bringing a deck that people aren't playing, or do you know of someone that's about to bring something that is out of nowhere?
Drisoth.
I can decide Drisoth.
The spiciest deck I would bring is likely just
secrets.
Rise. Like, if I were to bring it. But I'm not even sure about Rise.
What about day 2, though? Are you, like, on Rise day 2?
I don't know. I never think about my day 2 lineups.
That's why you never do well in day 2, bro.
I'm aware.
I think the other thing to keep in mind is that we've went through, like, you know, multiple seasons of Standard, and Aggro is not real in Standard. Aggro doesn't exist in Standard. Aggro is fake as fuck. Aggro is very real in Eternal. I think a lot of people were kind of culture shocked when they got their ass blown out on, like, turn 3, and it's like, oh, yeah, 1-drops are good.
Yeah.
So, like, make sure that you know that aggro exists and you have a plan, you know, for aggro. Just like a little bit. Just know that aggro is a lot better in Eternal, and people will always default back to playing a shit ton of burn, because like some people just like playing that, and it's a lot better in Eternal than Standard. That's just, I think, something people should keep in mind.
And it's just hard coded that if you're on 4 health, they do have Decimate. Like, you've lost.
Yeah, they will top deck Decimate. It just happens every game.
Yeah, the format's really a weird place.
I would have expected a lot more aggro. I'm surprised the best decks seem to be like Control, like when Cat, Rise, Seraphine. Like,
well, this is one of the things that happens is on the ladder, the stats for the aggro decks get inflated. Because a lot of people are trying different decks out. They don't, you know, they're not prepared for aggro. They don't know how to play their deck against aggro. And then you go into a tournament setting, and that's not the case. People are prepared. People know how to play their deck inside and out. They can see that you're bringing aggro. Well, I guess that's the same on ladder. But you're playing against better players, more prepared players. And aggro is one of the decks that's much easier to be prepared against. Like, if you haven't played into, I don't know, like a Samira deck or a Rise deck or something like this, like even like you didn't prepare into Thresh Nasus. Like, there's a lot of like mistakes that you can make that are just going to end you. But if you're going up against Poppy Ziggs, like, everyone knows how to play what that deck is, and like you're going to play guys, and then you're trying to burn me in the face. Like, everyone's kind of ready for that. And so I think that's where you see like why aggro always does better on ladder than it does on tournaments. And vis-a-vis, Control is the same. Like, you'll see like Lee Sin used to historically have like a 48% win percentage on ladder, and then it was like the best deck you could be bringing to tournaments because it would be played by very high level players who knew it inside and out.
I also just think like in competitive, like higher tier players just like to play Control or Tempo or whatever decks where it's not like I play my 1-drop, I go. I play my 1-drop, I 1-drop, I go. Like, they want the skill expressiveness of like passing's an option. Like, that is a fun aspect of the game. People just like, I think there's just more skill expression when it comes to like Control decks. No offense to aggro players. I mean, you're still great players. I mean, B is an amazing player. I just think it's like a general fun thing, and there's just less people that find that fun higher up.
And I think also, to your point, if you are better than someone, let's theoretically, and you're playing an aggro deck, and sometimes the aggro deck just doesn't give you those options, right? Like Majiin always talks about skill expression. There's no worse feeling than losing to someone who you are much better than to, but your deck is just like, nope, you don't have tools, you don't have options. And that's typically why better players want to play those decks, that they have the options to try to outplay their opponent. And it's just a terrible fucking feeling when you just sit there and it's like, nothing I could do. I die now. Yeah. Okay, let's do this. Gun to your head. You have to lock in your lineup right now. What is it? Start with you, Aikado. You have to decide. You have to lock it in.
Samira. Probably Bandle, Conservatory, and my third deck is going to be, I don't know, it's going to end up being something silly.
Time's ticking down.
Maybe it's like the Condense Shelly deck. I'll just abuse the hell out of Condense. Real talk, Majiin, is there a reason we don't run any units in Seraphine Samira? Is it just for like the YouTube meme? Like, shouldn't we run like 1 or 2 units maybe?
You can.
You know, like a house spider or something.
I forgot house spider's in the game again. Yeah, maybe we should look into like house spider It just feels so bad.
I assumed that it was for the YouTube meme. You know, the 0 units in deck other than Plaza
That's
Guardian.
usually why that deck gets run over by like any mid range, is because like you guys don't play anything, and if you play something, it's your champion. I'll happily kill your champion. Like,
to be fair though, like even in the standard one, you like the optimal amount of units. I believe in the standard one is like 3 outside of Plaza Guardian. It's like 2 Rune Squires and a Zonai Urchin, and that's because you get some of the stuff for free. Like, we do get to cheat, right? We have, like, Jury Rigs, and we have the 2-mana one that makes 2 1/1s. So, like, we get to, like, play units without playing units. But, yeah, I get what you mean.
I wonder...
I can see a couple copies of Arachnoid Sentry.
Or if you do Boom Baboon, then you can also play Poro Cannon. So you can get blockers via Poro Cannon, you can get the Flame Chomper out for free, and get that spell trigger from Poro Cannon. And it's a little bit more of a...
I refuse to play.
Well, then you just drop that.
I refuse to play Poro Cannon. No, that costs 1 mana.
I was going to say, what if it costs 0? Would you be back on?
Absolutely, I would play it.
Yeah,
but it costs 1 mana.
I forget.
I would play Iceborne Poros if it was 0 mana.
I forget that it costs 1 because I only cast it after I cast Glorious Evolution.
Sorry, you can go to next lineup.
Ash, what do you got?
I've already said it. Yeah,
okay, all right.
I know.
Hobbitsizz, you got to lock in.
Yeah, Seraphine, Samira, deck's cracked. Nasus Thresh, it's good into most things. And either, I don't know, like probably Vandal Timelines, or maybe Rumble Vein, because it's just fun. Whoa. Yeah, I know, throwing that out of left field.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think I'd probably play Seraphine, Samira. And then I'd want to be good into anti-cat strategies, so I might play like Shelly Condense and Rise.
Yeah, hey, you're gonna run it day 1?
I don't know.
What about you, Jason?
I'm literally only decided on 1 deck.
I honestly couldn't pick 3 decks right now.
Wow, gun to your head.
Gun to your head. You're dead.
This is what I would do.
I
would see. This is the problem. I would have the client in front of me, and I would just be like, this one, this one, this one. I'm also going to play the Seraphine deck because I have to play a Seraphine deck. I love fucking Seraphine, and the bar version's not quite as good, so I will also play some Plaza Guardian craziness. I was on Karma Set because I kept winning with it, and I love the deck, but apparently it doesn't beat anything, so that's a bit of an issue. I also very much like the championless Timelines deck, so I would probably throw that in there, and then
put Nora in.
I don't know what my 3rd deck would be.
I know we're shitting on Bar Seraphine. I just want to say real quick, like, Vandal Seraphine's really fucking
It's very good.
Like, really good. Like, I want to be running this deck. I really want to. It's just, I'm pretty sure Seraphine Samira is just, like, a little bit more brain dead and, like, a little bit stronger earlier in the game.
I would actually be running 3 Samira decks if I could.
Unironically, Bandle, Targon, and Nox, like, I would be there. I would be playing 3 Seraphine decks if possible.
Yeah, just like Seraphine Samira just wins on, like, turn 7 or turn 8. Like, it's just over. Like, oh, I have now 6 Plaza Guardians, and you're just dead. Whereas, like, the Vandal one's really good, but I feel like I don't win with that until at least a turn or 2 later.
And sometimes because of that, you just don't win.
Yeah.
It's so fun, though.
It is fun. But my God, have you had 5 Plaza Guardians? That's a good time.
Yeah, I have.
That feels pretty good. And then you rally twice that turn, and you're like, I'm going to do it again.
Okay, I got a question for you guys. I'm new to the Plaza Guardian deck. What are you looking for in your mulligans? Because it's a unique deck, and obviously it depends what you're playing against. But you guys were talking about comboing on 6 a lot. Like, what are the pieces that you always want? What are some of the ones you want against, say, aggro or control? Any thoughts on mulligans?
You want Samira against any deck that plays units that Samira can kill. And then you can keep Seraphine, but only if it's a deck that either A, cannot remove her with 1 card, or B, the game is going to go that long. But usually I'll mulligan Seraphine unless, like I said, it's against a deck that needs 2 spells to remove her. Because then the first one, you just trade her in for a couple spells and you get a spell back, and that's really good value for you. You probably you shouldn't be keeping Plaza Guardians. You will find them. You just mulligan them, and you look for your matchup-specific removal, and you go from there.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. If you're playing against a control deck, I usually look for draw cards, just because they're not going to do anything to you like the first 5 turns.
I keep Formula a lot.
Set up your combo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Formula is really good keep. Sometimes I'll keep, depending on it, like sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I have 2 Samiras. I'll just keep 2 Samiras because the first one will just die to something probably, and then I can slap down the second one on you, get the spell triggers going. Samiras pretty much always keep, and then after that, it's pretty matchup dependent.
Yep. Against other controlling decks, so like broad main strategies and stuff, you are a combo deck. You're a 1-turn combo deck. So you just play like it. You just like don't let them do shit. That's when you keep like Formula, your Mystic Shots, right? And you just like keep their stuff off the board. Save your Disintegrates for broad mains. And you just draw your cards and you get ready, and then you play Seraphine and you just go, right?
How many iterations does the deck play? One. Okay, so you literally have to go Seraphine, and you search up 2 of them.
Well, yeah. So you have the card that could let you draw 2. You have iterative, which lets you make 2, and then you have blood for blood, which also it's like iterative minus.
Right, blood for blood. How many blood for blood does it play? Also 1.
Yeah, but you play 2 of
the draw.
Oh my god. Yeah, you draw 5 plus power.
Play 2 of the draw.
It's like Legionary Charge or something.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so you only have 4 really of those cards that are making more copies, and then of course you have the
counterfeit
3
copies
original
as well.
copies.
You can some play counterfeit copies, some don't.
Some
I've been cutting it because I play 1 Ezreal. So if it gets to a point where I need, like where I'm like, oh my god, my opponent killed every Plaza Guardian, then my plan is just to kill them with Ezreal. But I see like the most winningest versions are not on Ezreal. They're on more copies of Samira because she is like really, really, really good in the deck. So it's possible I switch back. I just love having the inevitability.
How important or how much does it come up where you flip her? Because I think I only played a handful of games, but one time I was going off and I flipped her, but like I don't know if I needed to.
Every time.
Because I was just Plaza Guardian.
It's pretty easy to flip her in the deck. You pretty consistently play that, especially if you have leveled Seraphine on deck. You can only play an unleveled Samira and then level and rally in the same turn. It's stupid.
Yep. I've had turns where I played an unleveled Samira, leveled her, and rallied twice in one turn. Like because Plaza Guardians are free. So if you have like Samira, Seraphine, you play Plaza Guardian, that's 1. You iterative improvement, it copies, that's 3. You play both Plaza Guardians, you're already at 5. You spent 2 mana.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Have you tried maybe like Victor instead of like if like just as an alternative, like instead of Seraphine? Or not Seraphine. Whoa! Don't drop Seraphine.
Ezreal.
Or Samira, like because you want something on board and it can become a win condition. You get that reoccurring spell trigger like Samira. I guess Samira is just cheaper. Or
she's also
ballistic
so good.
Bot. That's at least a follower.
She kills.
You can't sub out Samira. Samira kills things. She you can just pair Disintegrate with Samira too. She kills it. The spells that she constantly puts out, super good. I mean, every time she strikes, you get that. Mm-hmm. I could maybe see a Victor over 1 Ezreal instead if you really feel like you want that there because you are playing a bunch of created cards and that could help.
Like, instead,
but
the ballistic bot because I'm thinking for like spell triggers.
Nah, it's not worth it.
Well,
have you played the deck?
I played it. I did not like it.
Okay, yeah.
Which I know I am wrong in that.
No, it's totally fine to not like a deck. But you just don't need units, really. Like, there's a couple times you're like, damn, I wish I had a House Spider or something, right? But, like, usually you're like, okay, I'm going to kill a couple things. I'm going to cast a Jury Rig, and then on turn 6, I'm going to have a 6/6. And then on turn 7, I'm going to have 4 of them. And that's usually enough. Like, Victor or Bot are just, like, way too slow. And your champions are so good. This deck makes the best use out of his champions out of any deck in the game, I think, right now. Like, the slot, I think Ezreal's like so insane because it turns a lot of matchups into almost like 100 zeros, where it's just like, oh, you're too slow. Well, then like even if you remove all my stuff, I'm just going to OTK you with Ezreal, and there's nothing like you won't even have priority.
What if you don't find your Ezreal?
You will find whatever you want to find.
I've seen you have 3 fucking Lee Sins in the bottom like 9 cards.
Mm-hmm. But if they are dealing with all of your stuff, then you're getting to it. Right? You're going to get there. And I want to cut it and put back in Samira because like Samira and Seraphine in this deck are so absolutely insane. They're both your win conditions and the way you like stay alive. It's so good.
Are there any other Ezreal decks that are like good?
Seraphine Bandle.
Other.
It's just different flavors of Ezreal and Seraphine together.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, no, it's the Bandle one. The Bandle one's the best Ezreal deck.
Not to rush it, but we are an hour in.
Yeah, we're going to be wrapping it up here. I got one last question. If anyone has any thoughts or like decks they want to talk on or tips they want to give people, throw them out. But one of the things I was thinking is this is very much like a what am I sort of going one level past. If everyone's going to ignore aggro and we're going to ignore it too, and everyone goes to these kind of decks like Rise, Seraphine, etc., why is there not some sort of Demacia lineup that comes to just prey the fuck on all of these decks?
Timelines is that lineup. I think like it's
Still?
bigger than Demacia. Like it goes nuts.
But it doesn't rally.
And it's got keywords. It doesn't rally, but it's got keywords
burn,
to push through. You don't really need to. And a ton of burn. You don't really need the rally.
Because this has happened in many, many, many seasonals where, not to this extent, but like Scouts or whatever, the Demacia decks would be like clearly tier 2, bottom of tier 2. And then the seasonals comes around, everyone ditches their aggro decks, comes up into control, and then guess what? Demacia is back, baby, and it ends up doing quite well or being a good choice. But I don't know if that's the thing here. It's like it's almost non-existent, right? Like I'm seeing almost no Demacia decks.
Yeah, I think Demacia is like kind of not great in Eternal, is what it seems like. I think that like the pseudo Demacia decks are pretty good, so that's going to be like your Timelines, or like more likely like the Cultist deck, right? With like Akshan and Varus and Sivir. I think that deck is probably really good. Like these pseudo Demacia decks just kind of do everything that Demacia does better. Like all the fucking nerfs to Demacia over and over. Like unless you're abusing the hell out of Ranger's Resolve, I just don't think Demacia is that good. But I mean that could just be like me say, just like not realizing that there's this broken fucking Demacia deck. Maybe people bring back like honest to God Sivir Akshan or something. But like it's funny because I'm playing Standard at the same time with Aegis, and in Aegis Standard, Demacia is like fucking crazy. Right, but like then you come over to Eternal, it's like there is no Demacia. There is no Demacia mid range. There's like nothing. It's just kind of wild.
It's just too fair of a region.
I was playing against Demacia decks a lot in the beginning when I was playing Shelly condensed decks, and it was really funny because they'd have one turn to hit me. Like they had to hit me on turn 5 because on turn 6, all my stuff's bigger than their stuff for the rest of the game. It was like it was always pretty funny.
Yeah, like you could play Kaisa, or you could play Scouts, or you can play stuff like that, and like they're fine. Like I just think they're a little too fair for Eternal, honestly.
So here's the question: the Plaza revert. Did Plaza just like not matter? Did we decide that Plaza just like wasn't good, or is it just too slow?
I haven't seen anybody try it yet.
I think it's
too slow.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You take a whole turn to drop it, right?
It feels like it should be broken. I wouldn't be surprised if like here's the prediction. Okay, I think day 2 of the EMEA Open is gonna get like destroyed by some like Scouts player. Like somebody's gonna bring like Scouts and like like Lulu Poppy or something and like just destroy people. It's always EU. It's always gonna be day 2. It's not gonna be day 1. But I think if it comes out, I think that's when it'll come out.
I think it's just that honestly, Thresh Nasus is kind of like Demacia in that sense. That like Thresh Nasus, the early game, they're big enough that they can.
It also probably sits on Demacia, right?
Yeah, like it can just block that stuff. And that whole thing with the putting down the landmark, like normally your turn 3 with if you're playing Grand Plaza would be landmark into Haunted Relic, so you can get those 3 2/2s with Challenger. You just play Blighted Caretaker. It's the same thing. It's Thresh Nasus is kind of already doing that, and it has a top end that actually does something. I think.
My brother in Christ, did you just say Haunted Relic?
Whoa! If you're not playing Haunted Relic with Grand Plaza, 3 2/2 Challengers.
No, I'm gonna play a real deck. I'm gonna play my Island Navigator on it, or like Double Trouble. It has to be better than fucking Haunted Relic. Yeah, that's Scouts, brother. That's Scouts.
I thought we were talking about. When I think of Grand Plaza, I think of the SI version.
The Shark Chariot
no,
deck?
Do not play
shit.
fucking Shark Chariots, but like
you're playing Haunted Relic.
What's wrong with Shark Chariot?
You play Undying. You can play Lucian. Are you kidding? Like, what is that? I didn't even know there was a Scouts version with Grand Plaza.
Okay, all right.
Whoa.
This podcast is getting out of control.
Christ.
I'm gonna wrap this thing up. Real quick, thoughts on Eternal. Real quick, go around the room. There's a lot of no one in the EU seems to like Eternal. We just had Alan on, and he was like, "Fuck this format," and I was like, "Oh, I think maybe we found the source." I don't know, but everyone I talk to or see on Twitter seems to not like Eternal. I love it. I'm having a great time. I'm enjoying Standard and Eternal. I don't get it. I'm curious. What are you guys' thoughts? Like Eternal? Do you like it being a competitive format?
I like Eternal. I like it being a
don't...
competitive format. I'm glad that it's only 1/3 of the competitive format. It's a nice palate cleanser.
I'm with him on this one. I don't like that there's not really like a meta that's really defined. I like having defined metas. Mm-hmm. It's more fun for me to play in. I know what I'm playing against. I know what I'm going to use. Eternal's fun, but again, I'm happy it's only for a small portion.
I'll be honest with you. Standard, I don't know why everyone's simping for Standard. Do we want to go back to the 2-deck format that we've had every single fucking Standard season? Fuck that shit.
Right.
Fuck Tristana. I like Eternal. It's just the like REO, like Simon and Baya and Broken Ball that are bitching about Eternal. Like, no, I think Eternal's fucking great. As right now, at this moment. In the future, it's probably gonna be broken as shit. It's more likely to be broken. There's issues with like Riot splitting their focus on balance and stuff, and I'm not certain it's gonna be a balanceable format in the future, blah blah blah. But right now, I'm enjoying Eternal a lot.
I think a lot of the hate with Eternal comes that most of the Eternal balance patches so far is that they're essentially just reverts. So it's a lot of just like PTSD. People are like, "Oh my fuck, Grand Plaza? What do you mean Timelines is back? What do you mean like why is Draven a 3/3?" Even though a lot of people wanted that, but like, and it's also a matter of if your thing got buffed. Like if you really liked playing, Tri-Beam, like, and that didn't get touched, then it's like you don't get to have fun for Eternal. If your broken deck that you got to play 2 years ago and you have not been able to play it since didn't get buffed, and all these other people are allowed to play their fun things, it kind of just like feels bad.
Yeah, like some people were super into like, I don't know, Lee Sin, let's say.
No one was ever into Lee Sin.
Yeah.
Not, I don't. What's that card?
Tri-Beam?
So I think with future patches, if they are a little less heavy on reverts and actual new buffs, like Targon's Peak would have been a great revert. Like it died at 6 mana. Well, you shake your head no.
No.
We should get Tree.
That's the point of Eternal.
Oh.
No.
Yeah,
so I'm sorry.
I'm with you on Tree.
Okay. We're gonna wrap this up. That's a great point, though, Ash. That it is a little bit of a PTSD. Like a lot of people didn't like Timelines. A lot of people didn't like Lee. Everyone loved Tree, obviously. I will say this though. Here's an idea. Because we do kind of need some new stuff in Eternal, and you can't push power through Standard. I wonder if Riot has thought about printing or making Eternal specific cards. I think that'd be a real good way to change up the format.
That shit would be so fucking cringe. Oh my god, just revert existing cards, do shit like that, make buffs to existing cards.
Why would having new cards be cringe?
Why do you want stuff to be printed directly into Eternal?
They do it for all the Magic sets. It's fantastic. Because
Magic
this is what you're going to do. Are you going to put powerful cards in the Standard? No, you can't. It's going to break Standard.
No.
So what are you going to do? You're just going to, we'll have a Lee again, and we'll have Watcher, and we'll have Tree, and we'll have the exact same problem that Ash was just talking about, where it's all these fucking old decks that we've played before, and people are like...
They've talked about reworking cards. Like, that's the whole idea of rotating Vladimir, right? Is that Vladimir's going to get reworked at some point. Like, the reworks
in the Standard.
But, like, can we talk about Magic? In Magic, like, they're releasing, like, this whole new Lord of the Rings set. Yeah. None of it's playable? You can't play any of it in Standard? It's so fucking cringe, dude.
Dude, they've done that for, like, a million sets. Like, a million sets.
If 2/3 of our like playable sets are Standard, right? Like 2/3 of our competitive year is Standard.
No,
you want to print cards that
I'm not saying take away from Standard. Why does everyone in LWAR always think this? Like, if they do this, they're going to take this away. No, you just add on.
But haven't we talked a million times, Florent, about how Riot's incredibly limited in terms of their resources for Legends of Runeterra?
In money,
I wanted to just fade to black.
I could think of I could give you 100 just Eternal cards off the top of my head, just right fucking now. Okay, imagine this: a 5-drop, but then when you play 8 spells, it kicks something into the opponent's next. No.
I think like Condense, I could see as an eternal only card. I think that like when you talk about this design space, Condense is a card that like next rotation, I think Condense is gonna be a part of it because it's just a card that will only get better and it's gonna limit the kinds of things that you can print because like a powerful effect. I mean, Riptide Rex isn't like busted or anything, but like something like that is pretty crazy, and it's kind of a matter of time until Condense. I mean, Condense is already very strong, but like Condense is very limiting in design.
No, I'm with you. Okay, we're wrapping it up. I gotta say though, for all the Aikados out there, and for everyone, Majiin does this too. When we're coming up with things that Riot could do, being like they don't have the resources for it. No, like they could, like when I was like, hey, what if we were just on one server? Like, no, they can't do that. But they did merge the two Asia servers together, so yeah, no, they definitely could do that. So it's our job to give them ideas, not to be like, how does this make money? How does this make sense? Because they'll figure it out on their end. We don't know how much money they have. We don't have the budget that they have. We don't know the resources that they have. Give them the ideas that you want to see. Magical Christmas land, and then they'll try to like get up there as much as they freaking can on their own terms. No.
Merging the two Asia servers is not the same as one fucking server for the whole planet.
Well, they could definitely keep merging. If you merge one, you can merge
just
two
keep
more.
Merging, bro. If you keep merging, eventually.
I gotta go.
All right.
Okay.
We're wrapping it. Bye, everyone. We'll see you guys again next week. Good luck, everybody, in the Riot Open. Ash, Hobbitsizz, thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been great.
Yeah,
Aikado, I hope they reprint tree. Okay, bye, guys. Ash, you want to try?
How am I now?
I think you got the right mic now.
Yeah.
We did it. We did it. Don't worry. Welcome to fucking making content. This is literally half of what we do. Also, Ash, with the balls to beat me and to be like, sorry, this wasn't your time lines. And then ask to come on the podcast. You know what? I respect it. Fair enough.
So much shit, but I love Reddit. I spend so much time on Reddit. Not necessarily the Legends of Runeterra Reddit, but like I just love Reddit.
I'm technically recording this, but this is the part that we record for like the bullshit bleepers and stuff at the end.
Should I not be cursing? Am I allowed to curse?
No, it's our fucking podcast. You can curse all you want.